university's external publications and communications, so we try to get a handle on everything. It needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, right to the point. It needs to be understandable, and it needs to be approachable. Something that isn't intimidating or using big words that people just don't understand. I mean, I like to write things that can cut through a complex issue and help people understand what they need to know. That's a well-written piece, and if it can go beyond that and put you in the mind or the place of a person, or describe a place or describe a situation in a way that helps you understand it, can bring a deep level of understanding. That's a good example of writing. A student named Alexandra Hemmerly Brown, who at the end of her sophomore year, she was in the U.S. Army Reserves, and she got called up and sent to spent a year in Iraq last year.
Wow.
Was as a U.S. military journalist. So we asked her to write a blog for us, which is on eNet. You can go and read her blog. About once a month she wrote a column about her experiences in Iraq. And now she's written a story about reflecting on her year in Iraq for our next alumni magazine. And it was so well written. It puts you in Iraq. I understand now. She talked about the heat. She talked about the children. She put us there in very simple, plain language, helped me understand what that year was like for her. So that's another good example of great writing. There was a newspaper reporter for the Greensboro News and Record who covered the funeral of a young man from Gibsonville who was killed in Iraq. And that was just last weekend. And those are hard stories to write, just not make them full of cliches and not make them predictable. And I thought he did a great job of making it interesting enough that even though you might have read those stories before, you still read it all the way through and got a different understanding of the people who went to the funeral and what they had to say about him and what he was like. So I thought that was a great piece of writing.
I can hear the bells are ringing, joyful and triumphant, and I can
Need to write a lot. Lots of students either say they were in music or they were in sports. You understand the value of practice.
Yeah.
You don't walk out on the basketball court and be a starting center. You don't play first chair trumpet in the band without hours and hours. And it's the same with writing. You need to put yourself in a situation with a school newspaper or with a journal or a blog or something where you write a great deal of copy and then hopefully get some feedback on it, and you'll get better at it.